What up, cucks? If you idiots didn't know, the hater is a big fan of comedy. Now, what kind of comedy? That depends. You know what I mean? The hater likes a lot of different things. But the hater does like stand-up comedy. I don't think it's the best form of comedy, but it's the most consistent, right? So, like, I think a really good sitcom is like, there's nothing like a really good sitcom. If you haven't watched Peep Show, it's British. Watch it, it's hilarious. Frasier, that's a more mainstream one. I really like Frasier, right? I think it's hilarious. And then there's sitcoms that aren't as funny, like, you know, Friends and like Big Bang Theory. Like, I remember when I was in law school, I would go to this hookah bar, right, where I would study. And the hookah bar, like on Wednesdays or whatever, would get really loud, right? So like one night they'd have like the NBA on, the next night they'd have like Big Bang Theory, whatever the hell was on TV back then, right? And one day they had Big Bang Theory on, and like nobody was really watching it. This was like a really ghetto hookah bar, so I don't think like, you know, people in Jersey, in the Jersey ghettos, like Big Bang Theory. It could be wrong, right? But anyways, I'm out there and they play Big Bang Theory, and I remember watching. I'll never forget it. I remember watching like an episode. Like I put down my books and I watched the episode, and I didn't laugh one time. I'm like, it's just not funny. You know what I'm saying? So stand-up comedy is the best kind of comedy because it's consistent. However, like every other medium, comedy has its sellouts. I'll give you this example. I'll give you these two examples, cucks. 2-for-1 especial. So we've got Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert. Now, the general consensus in the comedy circles is that Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert are both hilarious, right? Jimmy Kimmel especially, in my opinion, is one of the funniest people ever. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Hater, what the hell are you talking about? Jimmy Kimmel sucks. And you're right, he does suck. But not because he's not funny. He actually is hilarious. Go watch The Man Show with him and Adam Carolla. The problem is, Jim Norton, Colbert, all these other cucks, they've just sold out, right? Now, I understand the temptation, right? You get a lot of money thrown at you. Here's $20 million a year. And you're like, you know what? I think I will sell out. You know, I'm going to get $20 million a year, be a celebrity, and be the voice of the people. Sounds like a pretty good gig, right? Now, on the other side of that equation, we've got Jimmy Kimmel, one of the biggest sellouts in the history of the world. And then you have Adam Carolla, his partner on The Man Show, and his very close friend, maybe even best friends, right? Adam Carolla is no sellout, right? So Adam Carolla is far less famous than Jimmy Kimmel. He's far less successful than Jimmy Kimmel, but he's 100 times funnier than Jimmy Kimmel still, right? Because he didn't sell out, right? The closest example of this in the mainstream, and I hate to say it because I think he's overrated, is Dave Chappelle, right? For all the things you can say about Dave Chappelle, the fact is he is not a sellout. If you compare him to like Kevin Hart or to like Bill Burr or all these other douchebags, right? Dave Chappelle is raw. Like, he will say things that get him in trouble. Like, Bill Burr has never said anything that will get him in trouble, right? Now, why do I bring all this up, right? Because I'm not one for art. I think art is kind of like lame, to be completely honest. Like, yeah, to me, it's like music is the only quote unquote art that I like. Like, you know, if you put me in like the Louvre and you're like, oh, look at these paintings, I'll be like, let's get the fuck out of here. This is like lame as shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to see something someone painted. Like, I have no interest in this. Oh, what do they mean by the painting? Hey, just ask the guy, hey, what the fuck did you mean by this painting? But anyways, it's something here or there. The truth is, art does exist in the minds of many. And in the minds of many, comedy is an art form, right? And I mean, like, I don't think of it as art. I think of comedy as kind of like its own thing. It's just comedy, right? But it is subject to the same issues as art. It is subject to the same bastardizations and the same corruption as art, right? Comedy, which is supposed to be used to make everyone, motherfucks, everyone feel good, right? No longer does that. And that's a problem with the hater, right? So, when you hear someone say, oh, if I say this, YouTube will demonetize me, like, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? That means that you don't give a damn about what you're saying. YouTube should demonetize you. You don't have the balls to say what you want to say, so you're going to say what you're told to say, right? And that's the problem with not just YouTube, but with the world in general, right? Like Jimmy Kimmel, a famous example. Jimmy Kimmel used to wear blackface and talk and dress and act like NBA player Karl Malone, right? It wasn't very funny then, in my opinion. I'm like, the fuck, what's the humor here? Okay, we get it. Karl Malone's goofy, right? But he would wear full blackface, right? Bounce a ball and talk like he's retarded, right? Someone brought this up and Jimmy Kimmel was like, I knew the real racists would bring this up. this was different context. Like, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like if Jimmy Kimmel could still get away with doing that, in my opinion, I think he would do it, right? But he's a pussy. So he's not going to do what he wants to do. He's going to do what he's told to do, right? By whoever is in charge, his boss, like whatever, NBC, I don't even know what channel he's on, but whoever's in charge is telling him, hey, you're going to say it like this, and you're going to shut the fuck up. If anyone says anything like we don't like, you're going to check them immediately, right? There's always an agenda. But with art, right? And the hater's not saying he's an artist, far from it, right? But anybody that does any kind of content, anybody that tries to put their opinion out there, right? If that opinion is in any way, shape, or form filtered, you may as well fucking kick yourself in your own balls. Because there is no point in you even doing what you're doing other than to make some money or whatever the case may be, maybe some clout, as the kids say, but you're just wasting your time and the time of others. Now, when I started this YouTube channel, I didn't do it for the money, obviously. And I didn't do it to be famous, obviously. If I did, I would go the Jimmy Kimmel route. I would start talking about the things that everyone talks about. I would start talking about football. I would start talking about politics. I would start talking about, I would pick a side and I would do exactly what that side does. I would be like I would try to like emulate like maybe like a Ben Shapiro or like a Cenk Uygur or something like that. These dorks that really like, they don't know anything. They just like talk out of their ass. But like, the truth is, and I'm not saying this to brag or anything, this is not about me at all, cuckolds, but the truth is, what would be the point of that, right? What would be the point of that? I could come out here and I could do AEW reviews and not say any bad words and not say anything inflammatory, and the algorithm would pick me up. Now, those of you that don't know, when you set up a YouTube video, there's a little thing you have to click, right? It says like, basically like, how much fucked up shit did you say, right? And I typically pick the one that's like some fucked up shit, because I'm not out here spouting like racism and like, like the hatred of people. So like, I don't quite fall into the last category, but I could just make videos where I don't have to click that shit, right? But the point is, why would I do that? This is what I want to do. This is who I am, cucks. Or at least this is who the hater is. The person that is the hater behind the scenes. I mean, obviously, I'm not too different, right? But I don't talk like this to my friends. I don't go around saying, what's up, cucks? I mean, I do, but you know what I'm saying, right? The point is, you have to be authentic. And comedy is inauthentic now, right? It's like Noam Chomsky says. People, the media, and society, they pretty much narrow down where you are and are not allowed to talk about into a very small circle, into a very small subset of everything, right? So if we have a big circle that's everything, like maybe 10% of that circle is what you're allowed to talk about. But within the 10%, you're given the illusion of freedom. You can say whatever you want, right? As long as it is within the circle that is acceptable, right? That's why people get deplatformed. That's why people, get their channels shut down, or people get fired from their jobs, because they dared to step outside the circle, right? I will say this. The hater, despite the name, I don't really hate anybody. But I will say this. If I did, what would be so bad about that? As long as you're not discriminating economically against someone, why can't you hate someone, right? And that's the issue that I have with comedy. Comedy, inherent to it, is maybe not always hate, but there is a patsy. In every joke, it's at someone's expense, right? And the idea is, well, why would you make fun of this person? Why the fuck not, right? And that's the problem. It's like, I'm making fun of this person, and it's just a joke, right? And I know the hater has also been the butt of many jokes from my friends. Everyone, especially guys, deal with ball busting, right? And if we're all honest, it doesn't feel good. Even when you know the people around you are fucking around, right? It doesn't feel good for someone to see something about you that isn't good, right? But then you filter it through your little bean in your head, and you say, wait a second, did they mean it? What does it say about me? Blah, 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 blah. Self-reflection. And that's what leads to people tolerating otherwise comedy that is good, right? That's how it works, right? And I'll leave you with this. I said it a few videos ago, and I'll say it again. Cucks! One of the smartest people in the history of the world, if he existed, the debate on that is ongoing, Socrates, right? We only know about him through Plato's writings. Socrates said something that I think is very important. And he said, the unexamined life is not worth living. In other words, if you're a dipshit who's just running around bouncing off walls and not thinking about anything, if all you're worried about is, when does the next season of Blue Lock come out on Crunchyroll, then it's like, no one's saying kill yourself, of course, but pick up a fucking book and learn something. And more importantly, examine who you are. Think about your beliefs and where they come from and who told them to you, right? Because none of you, and me neither, right? None of us are only constructed from our own beliefs. There is stuff there that we have been influenced to do and influenced to think, obviously, right? And with that being said, it's important that we take a moment to reflect, to practice this capacity of self-reflection, right? And then once you do that, you are then a bit more enlightened and you can go and, start thinking about what it's like to be in someone else's shoes and all that other stuff. But in the context of comedy, this becomes even more important, right? Because a lot of times, great comedy has been ruined by overreaction and by people being offended, right? And here's the thing. Great comedy offends. But guess what? If you get offended, nothing happens. You're just offended. You can easily move on and not be a pussy and be like, oh, I'm offended, so now everyone else has to not like what I don't like. Like, imagine the narcissism and all that bullshit. That being said, cucks, take care of yourself and fuck your mothers.